Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels, and I am here, and it is Wednesday, and it is cold, and it is rainy, and it is disgusting outside. And I have no coffee. So, oh yeah, it's a coffeeless coffee stream. No! Anyway, here we are. We've got some videos pulled up, and I am ready to just jump right into it. Like I said, I don't know if it's cold or anything where anyone else is, but oh my god, the wind was horrible last night. Part of a tree came down. It was crazy. We had lots of come to my place. We got lots of stuff. Oh, I wish, dude. Oh. And what was I saying? So I've got just, oh my goodness. And apparently, now that the new Mac update is here, it's not as responsive. My computer is not as responsive as it used to be. I'm not really happy with that. VoiceOver is less, like when I push the button, it takes a bit of a time for things to happen, and I'm not sure I like that, but well. We'll get over that. And it's only in Streamlabs. It's weird. It's very weird. It's very, very weird. So, I think what we're going to do is, yeah, we're going to start with that video. Okay. We're going to start with that video. I think this might be a shorter stream than usual because I do have a badass headache still from the, yeah, we had hurricane weeks, yeah. How are you going to have a coffee stream with no coffee? I don't know. I don't know. That's funny. You sit there and talk about how you need coffee, and I pull into the coffee company right now to load up. Sorry. Curse you! Curse you, you bastard. Oh my god. Okay. I'm still fighting with a headache from the weather and now from no coffee. So we'll see how long I can stream for. Okay. Alright. So let's pop over to the live screen, the share screen, the thingy. I am having a good day. I am having a good day. So we'll pop over to the live... Stop yawning, goddammit. We'll pop over to the live scene. And we're going to learn about how this person stole $100 million from military families. Because, you know, let's do that. Let's steal from people who are fighting for your freedom. Lovely.
Mello has been to court. Our good friend Janet got caught stealing well over $100 million from the United States Army.
Wow. I don't know who Janet is. Is this Janet as in like Janet? Is this the Janet I think it is?
I hope your headache gets better. They suck ass. My ad reaction.
Oh.
Money that she was supposed to put towards military children and their families, spouses, children, what have you. She created shell companies and siphoned government dollars into them. And again, this was supposed to be for their benefit. She went to court and she's getting 120 years in prison.
Oh boy! 120 years in prison for this. Holy shit.
Hold on. Oh no, I'm sorry. She actually is going to be allowed to retire with full benefits.
What?
Yeah.
What? Back that up. Back that up.
She actually is going to be allowed to retire with full benefits. Yeah, you heard me right. She's going to be able to retire with full benefits. Now, she is going to face some level of prison time, but it could be brought down depending on how much of the assets that she got from government dollars they're able to recover and kind of put back in the coffers of the...
But she stole $100 million. Some of it government money. This is the chick that worked for the VA. Oh, and stole all that money. Oh, okay. Go, I got it. That's okay now, but still, she's allowed to retire with full fucking benefits after doing all of this. Wow. Come on, government.
The United States government. We'll see. But the whole situation is completely ridiculous. How this was allowed to happen. What she was able to do for 7 years.
Oh my god. I don't think I remember this chick. I don't think I do. Honestly, this feels fresh to me.
This wasn't caught for 7 years. The things that her lawyer said were pretty ridiculous. I mean, the whole situation just really makes my blood boil. Janet Mello had no less than 30 homes. She had collector vehicles, collector motorcycles.
30 homes. 30 homes. 30 homes. Collector cars. Motorcycles. Oh my god. What the fuck? This is... How can you steal from people and then just flaunt it like that?
Just a fleet of nice cars. She was living the life on government money that was supposed to be going to something other than what she was doing, which is basically living like a king, while all the rest of us just struggle. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you think of this situation.
Give her a fucking prison sentence.
Subscribe, do all that stuff, and let your fingers clickety-clack across the keyboard, because I love your unsolicited opinions. But I did just say I wanted your opinion, so they're not actually unsolicited. I'm sorry if I've confused everybody here. And I promise I've made that joke in like 4 videos. I won't do it again, I swear.
Yes, you will.
Albert Flores was Janet Mello's lawyer. It was her attorney. And
Albert Flores. Does it sound... It just sounds like somebody who's willing to do anything.
Some things to say.
Oh
when
boy.
he found out that, you know, people were upset that they found out Janet was going to get to retire with her full benefits, he said that he didn't think the two things were connected.
Oh, you don't. You don't think they're connected, do you, sir? You don't think it's connected that somebody that works for the VA steals $100 million and then gets to just live. Angry Cops covered her about a month ago. I think I might have missed it. No, this is different. This is different. I picked different channels to go over, dude.
She earned those benefits. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life.
She earned those benefits?
To do something.
She earned those what the fuck?
For 7 years.
She doesn't deserve those benefits. She didn't do her job. She never did her job. Why should she get those benefits?
At a minimum, she should have to go back and serve those 7 years in civil service again before she's eligible for retirement.
Yeah.
Now,
but I don't want her in civil service. I would rather she be in prison.
She'd get hired again. At least I hope she wouldn't. I've never been through the civilian hiring process for, you know, our government contractors or our government civilians that work for the military.
Angry Cops had a video on her. What a piece of shit.
That,
yeah, Pincalo just
over $100
just
million
told me
of theft would come up on a screening. Not super confident, but I would hope, you know what I mean? Although we did allow this to go on for 7 years, we allowed her to steal over $10 million a year on average for 7 years. So who knows?
That's insane. How could anybody, how did nobody else notice this was happening for that long? I do want to know that. How did she manage to siphon that much money for that long with nobody else noticing?
Through the cracks. She was able to accomplish all of this fraud, this theft of money by continually submitting fraudulent paperwork, which baffles me. Because I've submitted paperwork that was the right paperwork and it was not fraudulent. Have, like, my middle initial
Maybe
on it,
she
so
can clean condoms off the ground at parks.
You gotta
Maybe.
go find that out. And that's not unique to any one, like, section. I'm having a stroke here. That's not unique to any one specific place in the military. They're really, really specific about their paperwork. It's the whole thing's odd to me. Her lawyer said she earned it, and he doesn't really see how it's related.
Okay, then you're a bad lawyer. If you don't see how somebody not doing their job for 7 years and then getting caught not only not doing their job but breaking the law should therefore not be entitled to the benefits that they got from doing not their job. I'm just saying.
Okay, he doesn't see how they're connected. Sources close to both of them have said that she's been very cooperative in making sure the assets get turned back
very
over.
cooperative.
She had like 100 head of cattle. She had cows. What did she need cows for?
She had fucking cows? What is she doing?
They said she's
playing a farmer? Oh, I stole money from the VA. I'm gonna play farmhand now. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Been very cooperative. The thing that gets me the most, though, the thing that gets me more than anything else, is that she got to live this life. The lifestyle's already been lived. The damage has been done. There's no way they're going to be able to recoup everything. And even if they do, a number of the assets are depreciating assets, which she was probably using, causing them to depreciate further. There's no way that we're getting the value back as the taxpayer, and that doesn't even cover the time lost. Right?
No, there's the taxpayer paid for because she's like part of the government, right? So there's the time lost that she wasted doing all this and frittered away doing her quote job. Then there's the, as he pointed out, the depreciated value of all of the things that she bought that they're gonna have to sell off at a lower value. Then nobody's gonna get as much back, and so therefore she should not have had her benefits.
Right? This person was supposed to be filling a position that they were not filling. She worked at Joint Base San Antonio, where again she created basically a shell company. It was called the Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development.
The Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development. That is a very long company name.
Or anything, it just cuts off a development, which seems like an incredibly awkward name to me.
It is.
She siphoned this money into this, and then she began to spend it. And I assume at some point she realized, like, I have zero oversight whatsoever.
Right.
And then she just
like literally
started going nuts.
It had to occur to her, like, holy shit, nobody is noticing what I'm doing here. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And she just went to town, like exactly what he just said.
Any level of time in the military knows the military will do anything in its power and put an immense amount of oversight on anything having to do with money. And I've never had like free money, free rolling money. And what I mean by that is money that I could just spend on whatever I want. I've never had anything like that. But even the
Wait, you can't like, so even if you get you basically, you probably can't even spend money that you get in a stipend on anything else but what the stipend is for.
Allocated to certain things, there is tremendous oversight on it, and getting additional funds is effectively unheard of. I've never heard of somebody pulling from a fund.
Yeah, how did she do that?
Dislocation allowance when you move in the military. When you move in the military, you get something called DLA now. It's a reasonably new program, but you get couple $1,000s to offset the cost of moving. Well, dislocation allowance, you're not getting any more dislocation allowance. If it costs you more than what is given to you lump sum,
too bad.
That's it. That's all you're getting.
Okay, so yeah, disability used to have a program like that. They would give you like $1,000 towards first and last month's rent. So, like, I guess. But yeah, if it ends up costing more, they're not going to be like, oh, that sucks. Here, have some more dislocation money. No,
the fact that she was not.
I don't know how she managed to
a large sum of money.
I don't know how she did this.
Continue getting large sums of money. It's all just very strange to me.
There needs to be an investigation into the internal workings.
Everything that happened in the court case, obviously, so I could be wrong. Maybe there's details that are being withheld. I don't know. But the fact that she wasn't just hit immediately with jail time, some minimum amount, is very strange to me.
That's disgusting to me. It doesn't seem strange to me. That just seems disgusting to me that she can do this and then not have to deal with any jail time. That is insane to me. This is crazy. I can't imagine And there needs to be an internal investigation as to why she was able to do this.
Seems kind of odd. It seems a little bit off. Okay? Why is this person that got a massive amount, guys, over $100 million is a wild budget. Even to military standards. That is a ton of money.
That is a lot of money.
This person, I don't know, why are they...
That is I can't even imagine how much that is. That is an insane amount of money.
Why are they getting off so leniently? Leniently? I don't know if that's a word. Is leniently a word? Let me know. I went to online school. It was a fake degree mill school, but it was regionally accredited, so they still made me an officer in the United States Army. It wasn't even the Army that figured this out. The IRS is the one that...
Holy shit!
She only made $130,000.
The Army didn't even find it? Oh my god! That makes it worse. That makes it even worse. That the military wasn't the one that discovered it. That the IRS was like, hey, she doesn't make this kind of money.
A year at her position. So I assume somebody was like, why does this person have tens of millions of dollars in real estate?
Yeah.
Why does this person have homes all over the country at the IRS? And then
this doesn't make sense.
They figured it out, and then an investigation was launched, yada, yada. The rest is history. Now we're at where we're at now. But it wasn't even us. It wasn't even the military that caught her. The whole thing is just completely absurd.
The VA... The VA is bureaucracy and AI is already here. Oh god.
And I will be curious to find out where the money went exactly.
The name is bureaucracy.
Outside of her and the shell company that she created that got the money, who knows, right? I'll be curious to see if the investigation, the findings are made public. If anybody has access to that information, I don't know, but I am curious to see what comes out of it. The whole thing,
this is insane.
I think, was a huge blow to morale for a lot of people. We are held to such a stringent standard when it comes to money. And the fact that this person was able to just do this willy-nilly is...
The VA, though, how many... Well, that's... I wonder how many ex-military people go to work at the VA.
It's disheartening. It's concerning. It's, quite frankly, infuriating. Now, it's too much information for one person to remember what all she was charged with, okay? So I'm just going to read it out of here. You can judge me. I don't care. There's nothing that you guys can say or comment or think about me that's worse than the things that I think about myself. She was charged with 5 counts of mail fraud, 4 counts of engaging in a monetary transaction over $10,000 using criminally derived proceeds, and 1 count of aggravated identity theft.
That's it? That's all she was charged with? That seems fairly light.
That seems kind of slim, too. Does that encompass over $100 million?
I don't think so.
I don't know. She was arrested in December, and she was released without bail.
What?
Bail process. I don't know a lot of the things that go into our legal system, but you can bet.
Why would you release somebody without bail when they have, like, ample money to flee? That makes no sense. Oh, this isn't even the worst of bureaucracy. You should hear the new Joint Securities press release about retirees being called. That's insane. AI is Skynet. They just won't say the words.
Start reading about it now. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Please continue to watch another video. Help support me. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me you hated it. I don't care. I love you.
Tell me you hated it. I don't care. That's great. I like that. So yeah, this woman, I can't believe that she doesn't get any kind of jail time. Like, that's insane. How could you steal that much money and not go to jail for the rest of your life? Like, holy shit. In any other context, if that kind of crime had been done, that person would be in jail for the rest of their lives. Why is she not? I don't understand. I really don't get it. I don't get why she's so special and why she doesn't have to go to prison like the rest of the white-collar criminals that get caught stealing that much money would have to. But okay. So now we're gonna move on to this video called When a Rare Disease Makes You Drunk Without Drinking. I feel like that's sarcasm.
One day in 2018, a high school teacher named Mark Mangiardo is driving home when he notices police sirens behind him. He's being pulled over. The cops suspect he's driving drunk. When he stops, the cops decide to give him a breathalyzer test. Of course, Mark hadn't been drinking at all, so this shouldn't be a problem. So he takes the test, and they find that he has a blood alcohol content of 0.18.
Oh, well that's a problem. That's a very big problem. Also, how do you have that blood alcohol level and not act
In New
drunk?
York, where this happened, the legal limit is a 0.08. He explains to the cops that this has to be a mistake. He hadn't even had a single drink. But of course, the cops have heard this story a million times before. Mark gets a DWI. This time, he was only 3 weeks into a brand new job at a school.
No.
6 months later, this would happen again. With pending felony charges, the school has no choice but to let him go. And subsequently, he was struggling to get any job at all.
Oh no, that's horrible. If this is actually like something that fucks with your blood alcohol level, like that would be, could you imagine? Could you imagine having that happen to you and then like losing your job over it?
But he wasn't lying to the cops. He lost everything all because of a crime he legitimately didn't do. How could such a thing be possible? What if I told you there's a disease that makes you drunk without drinking? For today's video, let's take a look at auto brewery syndrome.
What? Auto brewery syndrome? Seriously? It's called auto brewery syndrome? That's crazy. That's crazy.
This video is sponsored by Helix. Helix makes premium mattresses and bedding, custom fit to your needs and delivered straight to your door. Helix recently launched the Helix Elite in the US. Comes rolled up in a plans. Also, that ensures that I stay cool people play sometimes. They have 2 free pillows. There's this guessing game that you see people play sometimes. They had a few drinks and they're trying to figure out if enough time has passed if they'd be good to drive right now. I'm not saying you should do this, I'm saying it happens. But imagine if you had to do that every single time you got behind the wheel, whether you'd been drinking or not. The problem for Mark actually started all the way back in 2006, long before any run-ins with the cops. In an interview with ABC7, he speaks about how at the time, he was a teacher in New Jersey. People started to complain that he smelled like alcohol. But he—
Oh, that sucks. Like, so that means it was coming through his pores? Like the scent of alcohol was coming? That's interesting.
He insisted that he would never drink at work, especially because he worked at a school. But administrators kept getting complaints, and he could tell that despite repeated denials, nobody believed him.
That's hard. Like, could you imagine you're telling the truth, but people can literally smell alcohol on you so they don't believe you? That's horrible.
And why would they? I mean, you can catch an alcoholic red-handed and they'll deny up and down that they've done anything.
Yeah.
Throughout his time teaching in New Jersey, the smell wasn't his only symptom either. In an interview with Today, he described some of the symptoms. I thought that there was something wrong with me. I wasn't exactly sure what. I just thought I was tired all the time. My wife has on numerous occasions said I wasn't acting right. Of course, though, there are other more obvious reasons why he might feel this way. For example, he was working 12-hour days.
Damn. As a teacher? What was he, I guess, grading and
Driving meet moderator. I wouldn't be surprised if the episode was based on this guy, but Pink Paolo, the driving meet moderator. It's so rare, the only time I've ever actually heard about it besides now was on an episode of House, but
it's so rare, the only time I've ever heard about it besides now was on an episode of House. I wouldn't be surprised if the episode was based off that guy. Or this. Interesting. I think I remember what episode you're talking about.
How couldn't he be exhausted? And at that time, he was pushing 40, so you can expect to just not have that same energy you used to have.
Yeah.
But the exhaustion wasn't his only symptom. And eventually, even his wife began to suspect that he was lying. I had all the signs and symptoms of drinking even before she smelled me.
That's horrible. He's always tired. He's not acting properly. He smells like he's drinking. And, like, those are all visible things that could prove that you're an alcoholic. And he's legitimately like, no, I'm not drinking.
So, for years, she thought I was hiding drinking, and I would come home each day and I would basically be drunk, he says. I had symptoms of being intoxicated, from slurring speech to balance issues, and this happened even at social events where I had not been drinking.
Oh, that's embarrassing. That has to be so embarrassing. Just, like, knowing that you're not drinking, you're not drunk, but this is still plaguing you, and even your wife is like, no, you're hiding.
But at this point, these things weren't happening as often as they eventually would. It was in 2012 that these symptoms began to really ramp up. He found himself speaking to administrators about his suspected alcoholism all the time.
Shit.
And he realized that he couldn't stay there. By no fault of his own, his reputation had been ruined. So he would leave to a different school district in upstate New York. Now he was working as an athletic director. Just 3 weeks into this new job, he's pulled over by the cops. And it wasn't even that he was driving erratically or anything like that. Basically, what had happened was a car was reported for littering out the window on the road.
Oh, come on. Really? A car? Oh. This is crazy. Could you just, some Karen. Somebody threw something out the window.
And Mark's car just happened to resemble that car. Just a sheer stupid coincidence. Although it's not mentioned in any of the interviews he's done, I think it's likely that when the cops pulled him over for this, they, like a lot of his coworkers, probably smelled alcohol on him. And that's probably what prompted them to give him the breathalyzer, leading to this first DWI. And at this point, the school was actually willing to overlook it. The superintendent said, "You've done such a great job within the first 3 weeks of being an athletic director that we actually are willing to move past it." But
that, lucky for him. But he can't, like, if it keeps happening, obviously they can't look past it anymore. Obviously.
6 months later, it all happens again. This time he's pulled over and it's his own fault. They caught him on his phone while he's driving. Once again, they give him a breathalyzer test and once again he fails it. No matter how good he is at his job, the school can only look the other way so much.
Yeah.
So he's placed on leave for the remainder of the school year and they don't renew his contract. He tells ABC what happened next. "That's when I lost everything. I lost everything that somebody could lose," he said. "I had
Please tell me he doesn't lose his wife.
to sell my house. I had to sell my car. I couldn't get a job in education. I couldn't get a job at a grocery store. I had pending felony charges. You know, I was facing prison time for 2 DWIs when I had not been drinking." With his whole life falling apart and people around him suspecting that he's an alcoholic who's lying, it was actually his mother who cracked the case.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Like, thank God for somebody in this guy's life who was like, no, this isn't right. I don't think this is right. This is just so sad.
All she did was think to Google if it's possible for someone's body to make alcohol itself, and it turns out it is. It's a condition known as auto-brewery syndrome. It's first identified in Japan in the 1970s. It's an exceptionally rare condition with less than 100 documented cases worldwide.
Oh, wow. 100 documented cases yeah, talk about rare. I don't think you can get any rarer than that.
Basically what happens is you get this bacteria or fungi in your gut. Then when you eat carbohydrates, these colonies in your gut cause them to ferment, creating alcohol. And now that this alcohol is in your body, it must be digested, so your body makes itself drunk. Apparently, there's also a similar condition in which this process happens in your bladder. I can only imagine that this is how they make Keystone Light.
Ew. But that's fascinating. fascinating. If you happen to have this type of bacteria and you eat carbs, then it will make alcohol. That's fascinating.
There's a wide variety of risk factors that can increase your chances of getting this. It's been connected to Crohn's disease and diabetes and some other conditions. But it seems to most often come as the result of treatment with antibiotics.
Huh.
You know, we take antibiotics to kill off a bacterial infection, but it doesn't just kill the bad bacteria.
No.
It'll also kill off some of the good bacteria in our bodies that keeps these other things in check. And in some people's bodies, when this good bacteria is killed off, it allows all these other things to run rampant.
That is fascinating. See, this is why you can't just throw antibiotics at a problem willy-nilly. You have to make sure that antibiotics are required, because antibiotics are a good thing, but if you overuse them, you get like the super bugs, or you can start killing off the good bacteria that you have in your body.
Such was the case of a man named Donato Giannotto, whose story made the news several years before Mark's. After having what should have been a very simple procedure on his nose, Donato began to experience symptoms very similar to Mark's, notably exhaustion and slurred speech. Then one night after dinner, he would suffer from a seizure. When his wife Michelle brought him to the hospital, she was told that he was experiencing alcohol withdrawal, which made no sense because he hadn't had a single drink in years. So with no idea what was going on, Giannotto's wife was left to hopelessly watch him fall apart after what should have been a very simple routine procedure. They struggled with this for nearly 2 years until a cousin who was a doctor suggested autobrewery syndrome.
Oh, thank God for that. Thank God for cousins. And apparently mothers who know better.
They tested him for it, and sure enough, the cousin's suspicion was correct.
How do you test for that?
So here's how the test works. Basically, they'll monitor your blood alcohol levels as they feed you more and more non-alcoholic carbs. If that level increases, you have autobrewery syndrome.
Okay, so they probably like load you up with bread and pasta and stuff like that, and watch as your body digests it and see if your blood alcohol goes
Michelle
up.
noted her observations when speaking to New York One. He would not show symptoms until it went a little bit higher. So my theory is that he was brewing alcohol for so long that he was becoming tolerant. But the condition was so rare that even though they had diagnosed it, they had no idea how to treat it. His condition kept worsening and he kept having more seizures. She described a moment of desperation to CBC Radio. I called my husband's endocrinologist crying one day and begged for help. And I said, "Please find me a doctor. He's going to die."
Yeah, can you imagine like knowing what you have, but then being like, but there's nothing that can treat it? That has to be just absolutely horrifying. Just knowing, okay, we finally figured out why I act drunk, but there's nothing we can do about it. And I'm also having seizures from this.
I don't want to bury him. The endocrinologist said, "Let me make some phone calls. I'll call you back," she said. Eventually, the endocrinologist referred her to a doctor in Staten Island, Dr. Prasanna Wickramasinghe. Although at that point he had never had a patient with the condition, he had heard of it and was interested in studying it. The doctor collected samples from Donato to determine which microbes were causing his condition. He then prescribed antifungal medicine to kill them off.
Okay. Well, if it's a fungus that's being created because your gut bacteria is dead, then that makes sense. If an antifungal might
This
work.
treatment, combined with a no-carb diet and probiotics, would help restore the gut's natural levels and effectively end the autobrewery syndrome. Unfortunately, Donato would ultimately pass away in 2020, but his wife Michelle would continue to provide help for people dealing with this very rare condition. Since Donato's treatment, Dr. Wickramasinghe would go on to become one of the world's leading experts in this condition, treating over 30 patients, including Mark Mongiardo.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Like, can you imagine you just saying, "I've become an expert in this disease. I've treated over 30 people." That's insane. Like, that's how rare this thing is. I hate seizures. I wouldn't even wish them on my worst enemy. Experiencing them myself. Ugh. I'll take maid, thank you. Yeah, no, just, I wouldn't want to die like that, no.
And it was with the doctor's treatment that Mark would finally begin to get his life back.
Oh,
although it
good.
wasn't without its challenges. I come from an Italian-American family. I haven't had pasta or pizza or anything like that since I was diagnosed in May 2019.
Oh, that sucks. All the Italian food that he can't eat. Oh, that bastard. That poor, poor bastard. All of the Italian food that he's not able to eat.
It was extremely challenging in the beginning. Of course, it is possible for some people to eventually return to a completely normal diet, as was the case with a North Carolina man who, like Mark, got a DWI because of the Otto Brewery syndrome, but now says he eats pizza and pasta with no problem. But the doctor warned that sometimes people will relapse after another antibiotic treatment or some kind of other trigger event. And it can also have much more serious health implications. There's the case of Sarah Lefevre of Connecticut. Sarah had been dealing with the condition for at least 15 years without having any idea what was going on with her. The seriousness of it wasn't realized until her 23rd birthday. It was extreme.
Holy shit, can you imagine being like a child and having this happen? Could you imagine just like, and then the people thinking that your parents are giving you
Extremely
alcohol?
cold outside, and her friend dropped her off at home. Before she can get inside her house, she passed out in the cold. She had had some drinks that night, but nowhere near enough to cause this to happen. And throughout the years, she would often pass out like this, on some occasions breaking bones. The
Oh.
diagnosis didn't occur until she was already suffering from liver failure more than a decade later. She needed a liver
That's
transplant, but at the same
unfortunate.
time, they couldn't give her a liver transplant until his condition was controlled.
Oh, that's horrible. But she can't control it without a new liver.
And the conventional antifungal treatments weren't working for her. Although there were glimmers of hope with more powerful antifungal treatments, it was too little too late, and Sarah would eventually
She
pass in
died.
July of 2023. All because her
that's
condition
sad.
went untreated for so long, because it's a thing that people don't even think could happen. And if you do think of it, it's the thing that sounds like you're an alcoholic and you're lying. And
Yeah.
one of the concerns raised by Dr. Wickramasinghe is it being believed in courts. Although Mark's DWIs were thrown out due to
That is
prosecutors
true.
not prosecuting him in time,
That is true. How do you prove, like, if it's so rare, how do you prove it in court? And how do you get the court to believe you?
and there are cases for Otto Brewery syndrome being accepted in court, such as the case of a woman charged with a DWI in upstate New York. There's also been cases where the judge rejected the diagnosis and gave out jail time. This happened to two of the doctor's patients. One in Indiana who was given 6 months of jail time, and another in Ohio who was given 2 years.
Holy shit. Can you imagine that? You're just sick and you get 2 years of jail time.
Thanks to some little secrets, I've had less seizures now.
That's insane.
I'll take maid, thank you.
That is,
Input, chat.
wow.
Text field.
2 years of jail time just because you have this condition.
All that being said, if anything I'm describing in this video sounds familiar to you, it's probably worth looking into. I suspect that this condition is far more common than people realize. Because like I just said, it's not something that even occurs to people.
No.
And also it seems like a lot of the patients who get the diagnosis are geographically close to the one guy that's an expert on it. So there's probably been some people with the condition who went to doctors who just didn't know about it. But in any case, that's all for now. If you like this video, turn on notifications and check out my video about the guy who got plastic surgery to look like David Beckham and looks
Oh,
nothing
God.
like David Beckham. I'm out.
I've watched that video. I have watched that video many times.
And react chat message and TJ's.
Oh,
Thankfully, thanks to
what a
chat message,
what a
chat.
what a weird condition.
Double tap to
And
add
how
access to
like
words.
how horrible it must be to just be insisting that you're not drinking and be telling the truth, but your body is producing evidence to the contrary. It's crazy. I can't even fathom that. That just blows my mind. This just trying to imagine this illness. Just kind of, I feel bad for these people. Because it's obviously causing them great distress, but everyone around them's like, no, you're just drunk. Thank you for the follow. Massive YouTuber gets exposed. Ooh, who's this? Who this? Who's being exposed now? What did they do?
Andrew Huberman, a very, very popular leader of thought in the modern era.
Welcome to the Huberman Lab podcast, where we discuss science and science-based tools for everyday life.
I don't think I know this guy. This is one guy that I've never heard of, this Andrew Huberman dude.
That is said 2 years for not even drinking even though you look drunk. And the rare disease of that. Button.
Yeah, that is sad, TJ. 2 years for having a rare disease. Yeah, it's very sad. So I don't know this Andrew Huberman
If you're
guy.
the kind of person that spends their day watching kick streams, streaming television, or my channel, you probably haven't heard of Andrew Huberman.
I'm Andrew Huberman, and I'm a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford School of Medicine.
Ah, somebody that would be interested in my case, probably. Because I require a neurologist and an ophthalmologist to get me my sight back.
Today, my guest is Dr. Vivek Murthy.
Andrew Huberman has a very well-respected podcast called the Huberman Lab Podcast. It's a cool podcast. There's a lot of digestible, eloquent advice that's easy to get into. It's easy to listen to. It's entertaining. It's fun. I really like this guy's podcast. I started watching it back during the pandemic, and a lot of other people did as well. Tons of people found this man 2-3 years ago. I believe the first video I found was how to focus and change your brain, or the first video I was showed, rather. I didn't find it. I didn't look that up. It just, YouTube was like, you need to do this
You need help.
immediately or die. Some of his most key advice that are advice takeaways that I would apply to my life and actually recommend for anyone to do, simple things just like journaling daily to clear the clutter out of your head. It's nothing new. It's nothing, ridiculously awesome or cutting edge that he's saying out here, but it helps a lot.
What I'm describing is that you...
Journaling is probably the most widely prescribed activity.
Very different form of
to
journaling
declutter your brain
than, say, morning notes, which is a form of journaling that writers often use in order to, quote-unquote, clear out the clutter. This is a process of sitting down and writing down in stream of consciousness whatever's on your mind for the first 5 to 15, maybe even 30 minutes every morning.
Or another example, the order in which you eat your food actually matters, depending on what it is.
What?
Makeup of food, it's different. You should eat certain things first, certain things last, certain things not at all. Yet
the order in which you eat your food?
another example, the simple fact that exercise helps combat depression and mental health disorders.
Exercise, it turns out, also has a positive effect on the tryptophan to serotonin conversion pathway.
Yes, everybody knows that exercise is good for depression. Yes, we all know that. It doesn't replace your medicine or your talk therapy, but it's good for your depression.
And the way it does it is really interesting. You now know that tryptophan can either be converted into serotonin or it can be converted into this neurotoxin, which is a bad thing.
Push-ups don't cure it, all right? They don't cure it, but, they make it 1% better. And then that makes it easier to do other things that might make it 1%. That's the logic. It makes sense. And it works for me specifically very well. So what makes Andrew Huberman credible? As someone who is very credible in this space, we need to know what makes this guy tick. Well, he's a neuroscientist. He has also conducted research on brain functions, specifically the functions in and around neuroplasticity, something I lack heavily. Neuroplasticity, by the way, is the brain's ability to form new synaptic connections or reorganize existing ones to just basically make you adapt and evolve and become smarter and, more successful.
Yeah, that would be something I lack heavily as well.
Plasticity is activity driven and follows the use it or lose it rule. Frequently used synapses are strengthened, while rarely used connections are weakened or eliminated.
This type of thing, immensely important for everybody, but especially important for stroke victims to recover from their strokes, or TBI victims to recover from their traumatic brain injuries. The Huberman Lab podcast is actually named after a department of neurobiology at Stanford, the Huberman Lab.
The Huberman Lab.
Cool as fuck. Like, I wasn't just saying he's a neurobiologist, like he's legitimately in it. Really interesting.
He got the lab named after him. That's how That's how eminent of a neurobiologist
The study
he
at the
is.
Huberman Lab utilized VR technology and put people in stressful or fear-provoking situations.
Post-traumatic stress comes after the trauma, when the trauma is no longer there. That's what makes it pathologic. So having stress and fear in response to something that's happening that's truly threat-inducing, that's good.
Not,
We certainly are not interested in curing fear. We're interested in alleviating pathologic fear.
You know, putting someone who's claustrophobic in a tight space in VR, or someone who's afraid of heights on that fucking plank on the Oculus. You seen that shit? Man, I like watching people fall off that. It's funny.
He did?
And then we...
Jesus Christ! That is funny, holy shit! Oh my god!
Not only this,
Oh
we
my
decided
god!
that we needed some scary experiences. So we employed a tree climber to climb very high up into a tree that was swaying in the wind.
What do you think? It's a nice view up here. Want to go a little higher?
We also have a stimulus in which we worked with a professional dog trainer to have a dog attack you in the virtual environment.
Oh!
And then
Okay, that sounds like so fake.
perhaps one of the more unusual and exciting ones was diving with great white sharks.
What?
Are you ready to go deeper?
And what did they learn? I don't really know, but it's cool that they did it anyways. So,
Why would so these are all like high stress environments, I guess, or fears that people have, and they're I don't know, mapping the brain?
on the surface, you might think, well, this man's awesome. He's dedicating his life to giving people tools for self-improvement. He's making a podcast that's free to listen to that just is full of actual actionable things you can do to make your life better from point A to point B. Like, it's everything you need is there to improve yourself. It's accessible. You don't have to go to school for it. You don't have to go to Stanford.
Sounds
well,
great.
actually, guys, you'd be wrong in thinking that, because he's a piece of fucking shit. I'm just kidding. I don't really know if he is a piece of shit. There's a recent article and a bit of a meme recently. I don't know where I stand on this, by the way, but the New York Magazine goes to extreme length alleging that Andrew Huberman is not the saint that some people believe him to be. I don't know if there's that many people who actually think he's a saint.
Are we gonna have more than just an article that proves this?
Most people
or
think he's just a really smart guy who gives actionable advice. He's not really like a moral grandstander. At least I haven't witnessed him to be that in his own podcast. I haven't seen him anywhere else, or in any really specific interviews or anything like that. But I also don't butt chug him. I don't like care that much. I just like people who are articulate
I
and
like
eloquent
that.
and provide good information.
I
The
like
New York
that
Magazine
term.
article was released on the 25th of March, a few days ago, and it's already had its title changed once. The title was originally Falling for Huberman, the Private and Public Seductions of the World's Biggest Pop Neuroscientist. And
Ouch. Pop neuroscientist. Oof. That's harsh.
him with his microphone and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's by this fella named Kerry Howley or something. Now, it's Andrew Huberman's Mechanisms of Control, the public and private seductions of the world's biggest pop neuroscientist.
Why did you change that?
I have no fucking idea. The article even made it to the New York Magazine's front page titled One Great Story. It's where their editors suggest different stories that you shouldn't miss. I don't know. It's a crypto billionaire, Barry Siebert. I don't fucking know, bro. It's just nonsensical. It's just journalism. The article, bit of a slog of a read, I'm gonna be honest. It's not for the faint of heart or anybody with any fucking form of attention deficit disorder. So it's not.
What? How long is this article? Please. I wouldn't want. Would it be something that having voiceover read to me be awful?
For me, fuckers. We'll give you the fucking spark notes and we'll see exactly whether or not we think this Huberman guy's a piece of shit or not, okay? Whether or not he needs to be, I don't know, what the fuck. God, his advice is worthless now. Fuck. The main allegations all stem around the idea that the things that Huberman has said or done off camera, outside of his work, do not exactly jive with the character that he puts on or the persona that he seems on character.
So, is he? Is it in his private life? Like, does he? did he do anything illegal? Like, that's all I care
with
about.
a former relationship of Andrew's, a woman who is left anonymous in the article and only referred to by the name of Sarah. Well, that's not very anonymous.
No.
I can just look up Sarah and find a picture of her. Here she is. You're not even trying. The article details her history with the famous podcaster / professor / sex pimp. He originally...
Sex pimp? Oh my god. Is this where we're going? Are we going for another Me Too?
Messaged her in February of 2018, and that's where the lies began, apparently. He claimed he lived in Piedmont, California, a very wealthy city, when he actually lived in Piedmont Avenue, Oakland, California. Not wealthy. Very poor.
Oh, you poor person. You disgusting person. Living not where you say you are. That's very wealthy. You said you lived in a very wealthy part.
Claims that in July, a few months later in 2018, she asked for clarification on how deep their relationship actually was, and that they agreed to be mutually exclusive with one another. They even had sex without a condom. All right. By Thanksgiving of 2018, things in Andrew's relationship would start to go wrong. For example, Sarah wanted to introduce Andrew to her parents and friends. He repeatedly texted her that he was going to be late. The time got further and further and further and further away. Eventually, he just fucking ghosted her on Thanksgiving, which is awesome. That's my understanding of the article, at least.
Well, okay, that is kind of a dick move, but I mean, like, I don't see how that changes his expertise on neurobiology and neuroplasticity at all.
Not too clear on it. Once again, trouble reading. Apparently, Andrew would just drag up old issues. He'd pull from his internal lexicon of shit to bitch about, and he'd have rage fits that lasted 2 to 3 days, apparently, in which he would yell at this woman going all the way to midnight and sometimes beginning as early as 2 a.m. So he would wake up at 2 a.m. and yell all day at her. He would fixate on the men she had been with. He would bring up her 2 children that she had with another man. It makes Andrew seem like a petty / manipulative dork.
This a part of me is going, I don't believe this, because you're expecting me to believe that he would keep you up till midnight screaming at you, then guys would go to bed for 2 hours, and then he'd wake up and all over again. Really? I mean, I don't know this dude from anybody, but like, these allegations seem pretty light
at best, and a abusive person at worst. The argument that he is a manipulative person continues heavily. Apparently, Sarah alleges that she changed as a person during her time with Andrew. Sarah's friends remember her as being a powerful, decisive, and strong woman who grew up in a feminist community. So they thought it was odd that when she was with Andrew, she began to say things like, I just want to be with my kids and cook for my man. Her friends said,
Ew, how dare you want to be with your kids and cook for your man? That's disgusting. That's just disgusting turf talk. How dare you talk like that? You dirty, dirty woman, you.
Who says that? I mean, I've known her for 30 years. She's a powerful, decisive, strong woman. We grew up in this very feminist community. That's not a thing either of us would ever say. Sarah also alleges that Andrew cheated on her
So neither of you would ever want to spend time with your kids or cook for your family. Oh, okay.
August 2021.
I see.
3 years together when they were supposedly exclusive. She even found a reference to cheating in Andrew's journal. And from this point moving on,
why are you writing in his journal?
Of a theme. We fast forward to August 2022. They would go on a camping trip up in Washington State where Andrew would bring a cooler with some syringes to stick into her belly to stimulate fertility, because at the time they were trying to have a child with using IVF. During the trip, Sarah grabbed Andrew's phone while he was going to the bathroom, and he found conversations with a woman that the article refers to as Eve. Another pseudonym, not a real name. Turns out, my joke earlier, that was not the real Sarah. That was just a girl named Sarah. I'm sorry, Sarah. Apparently, Eve is an actress, and Andrew met Eve on Raya, the dating platform for rich and famous people.
Well, I was gonna say, what the fuck is Raya? I've never heard of the. What are all these things that happen? What? All of these platforms. Why are we all fucking all of, oh my god,
Sarah
my
have
head.
differences in their personalities. Eve is calm and collected. Sarah is chaotic. How are they able to compare the two? I have no fucking idea. Andrew was very kind and considerate to Eve in their texts compared to the toxicity that he showed Sarah. Andrew and Eve also apparently talked about the family that they could have together. Then, a bombshell. Eve became skeptical of Andrew after hearing on the JRE podcast that he had a girlfriend. What a terrible way to find that out.
Oopsies! You found out you're a side chick. Oh dear.
Holy shit. And when Eve saw Sarah, Huberman's girlfriend, looking at her Instagram stories without liking or commenting, she messaged her, and then they found out that they were both with Andrew. Oh my god, dude. If Eve is an actress, this is just a weird thing I noticed. Like, how are you seeing one person specifically looking at your story? Like, that doesn't, how does that make sense?
Because you can see who views your story. That's
like
how.
I can't see one person looking at my story, let alone my girlfriend's boyfriend. What the fuck? Maybe it's not as weird as having two basically separate families that don't know about each other, and you're injecting one's belly with fertility drugs in the same time span you're talking about having a family with the other.
Yeah, why would you be doing that? That doesn't make sense to me. You're trying to get pregnant through IVF with one girl, and then you're like, oh, look at the family we could have with another girl. It's like, dude, how do you plan on... How do you plan on doing that? Oh no, it really is Beverly Hills versus the ghetto. Oh.
That might be worse, but I'm not sure. This feels like a shit ton of hearsay, I'm gonna be honest. And that's what this channel thrives on, okay? So it's all alleged, it's all alleged. Back to the story. In 2021, Sarah would test positive for HPV and a particular form of HPV that is linked to cervical cancer, though she claims before that she had been tested but was not positive and had also been tested regularly for the last decade. When she brought it up to Andrew, he allegedly told her that HPV could be contracted from many things. This is another example of an alleged cheating from Andrew and saying that he's got HPV. Then
I don't see, this is the thing. This is just a newspaper article. This isn't like... This... If this is all true, he's very abusive and a dick, but like, this is a newspaper
article. The
article
goes on to state that in August 2023, which apparently is the month that everything interesting happens in, this was when Sarah moved out and ceased her cohabitation with Andrew, but remained in a committed relationship with him. And that was up until December of 2023 when they were about to go Christmas shopping. She went to Andrew's house and she saw him on the couch with another woman through the window. Now we have another woman. Alex, another fake name that doesn't exist. This person, Alex, began liking all of Sarah's Instagram.
How many fucking women does this dude need?
And posts conveniently. So Sarah messaged her and found out she was sleeping with Andrew as well. Then there's Mary, who was involved with Andrew and her friend's called Andrew Breadcrumbs because he disappeared. If all these women are real, I tell you what, this TikTok comes across in a whole new fucking light. I tell you what.
You can't have long-term affairs with 6 different partners.
Yeah, unless he's juggling multiple phone accounts or something.
Right. And some men try to do that, but I think could be very taxing.
It's really extremely funny.
It's very funny. It's. Are you speaking through experience, sir? Oh my god, this is hilarious.
And he's like, well, yeah. He's like giving advice to himself right there. Well, unless, this is how you do it correctly. And well, how do you know that? Experience. Allegedly or whatever. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know if I care. Out of the woodwork comes the negativity now. His poor treatment of human beings wasn't exclusive to the women that he was supposedly seeing. Alleged poor treatment, by the way. This extended to his friends and colleagues, allegedly. Scott Carney, an investigative journalist and anthropologist, went on the record to share his experiences with Huberman. The video is basically him just following up on the release of the article, detailing how he knew Huberman before his popularity and sort of touting his contributions to the article itself.
This week, Carrie Howley, an essayist and investigative a journalist for New York Magazine, wrote a cover story about how the famous neuroscientist and podcaster Andrew Huberman lies about his background, doesn't run an active lab at Stanford, abuses and manipulates women while simultaneously making millions of dollars selling supplements on his Science Forward podcast.
So, okay, wait a minute. He doesn't run his lab? The article didn't say that. I don't remember
is sort
that.
of broken into two camps. A, the camp that feels Andrew Huberman isn't who he seems on his podcast, therefore they feel misled and they believe he should be canceled. Or B, the people who feel like this is a coordinated hit piece on Andrew.
First, there are people who feel disturbed and betrayed by how his public persona does not match his private one. And the other camp are people who think that this was a coordinated hit piece by a journalist who's trying to gin up controversy against someone whose scientific communication has helped millions of people.
See, I'm trying to figure out which one is which, because parts of this article do feel very, very shaky, very slim. They don't really feel like they are worthy of like writing about, if you know what I mean. But then there's other parts that seem like he's kind of abusive.
Mercy against someone whose scientific communication has helped millions of people.
Now, I'm gonna say that I fall into this camp, the B camp, because everything is anonymous. There's not a single human being in this that I could actually point to. If there was, it'd be different. It would still probably be hearsay, but it's like really hearsay.
Yeah, this is an article that has no actual, like, it's just anonymous. There's no actual text messages. There's no pictures. There's no video clips. There's nothing, right? It's just women saying that he treated them like this, and it's not even a first-hand story. It's written by a journalist who has gotten these supposed accounts from these women.
Hearsay at this point. You know what I mean? This isn't Minecraft YouTubers. This isn't nonsensical drama. This is a guy who actually provides a valuable service to a lot of people, if that makes sense. Normally I stand biased. This time, think I'm in B camp. Gonna be honest. Hopefully something terrible doesn't come out and make what I'm saying right now age like fine milk. Okay, guys? But hey, even if that's true, a broken clock's still right twice a day, motherfucker. Early on, we see Gary show his bias against Huberman. He says he doesn't think Huberman enjoys anything more than he enjoys manipulating people.
Because if I were going to put on the hat...
Gee, how biased are you?
Huberman
Holy
enjoys
fuck.
anything more than he enjoys manipulating people.
Because if I were going to put on the hat of a psychologist instead of a journalist, I would say that in my experience, there's nothing that Huberman enjoys more than manipulating people.
Andrew genuinely is a villain in this guy's eyes, which is...
How are you even gonna put on the psychologist hat? Are you a trained psychologist? Are you a trained psychiatrist or psychologist that also does journalism, or are you just talking out your ass?
Fair. I've never met Andrew Huberman. I have a parasocial relationship with his advice. I've never even heard him talk outside of just delivering chunks of advice. Not really that villainous to me, but I've never been manipulated by him. The first interaction that our old buddy Scott had with Huberman was back in 2018. This was back when he was working on his book. He was intrigued at the Huberman Lab VR study that we mentioned earlier on about the fear responses.
Now, back in 2018, I was working on my book, The Wedge, and I was interested in his laboratory research on how he tested people's fear responses in a virtual reality lab. He had these, like, fake sharks that would swim by you, and to somebody who was afraid of sharks, they would have these autonomic arousal spikes, and I thought that was really cool, and I could write about it, about how you have some control over your fear responses.
Scott.
Well, we all know that you have some kind of control over your fear responses, but, that wasn't really what it was trying to do. It was trying to talk about your pathological fear.
I mean, Gary even says at this point they became tentative friends, and Huberman invited him out to his house. They went on a camping trip, which Scott, accepted to go on with Huberman. and he was just excited to have an interesting friend. Sorry, Gary. He bought tickets, packed his bags, rented a car, and he got to Andrew's house, and Andrew wasn't there. He allegedly ended up chilling at Andrew's house with Andrew's dog for 18 hours before he even showed up. Then, when he did show up, they just went on hikes. They didn't even go camping.
And
that kind of sucks. Like, if that's true, that is a first-hand account. That is not a hearsay thing. And if that's true, that is shitty.
Eventually, we did go on some short day hikes where we talked about neuroscience and nerve regeneration and stuff, and it was interesting. He did say some pretty weird things about sex there. Maybe I'll get into that in a different video.
So Scott clearly feels very deceived and manipulated by Andrew, and he has let this cast a shadow on him for years and years. What a bizarre thing to do, though, to someone. Like, if that's legitimately true, that's fucking weird. That's some weird behavior. It's shitty behavior, and I mean, I just wouldn't associate myself with him again, you know? I wouldn't go out and be like, all he wants to do is manipulate people. I'd just be like, I met up with him. He kind of ditched me for 18 hours, and then we didn't do what we said we were going to do, so I don't really want to hang out with him again. I don't know. Is that weird? Is that not the right thing to do? Shit I would not do. I'd be so nervous thinking about the other person just sitting there awkwardly with my dogs. I'd be like, oh God, I gotta get home. This, however, was not the only time that Gary claims he was ghosted by Huberman. They were supposed to go swimming with the sharks. Real ones too, not VR ones, by the way.
Later, he invited me to swim with sharks with him, not virtual ones, but real ones off the coast of Mexico.
We're getting a little sampling of the Pacific for next month's KJX at White Shark Dive in Guadalupe.
I thought we weren't supposed to say that.
We have permits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You have to have permits. We have permits.
So, Scott spent the summer learning how to dive, which cost him $1,000 and 3 to 4 weeks of classes.
But he said that I would need to get a diving certification to make it happen first. So I spent the summer learning to scuba dive here in Denver, which is a mile above sea level, so it's sort of tricky. And it cost me about $1,000 and like 3 or 4 weeks of classes. But the day before we were supposed to go, he canceled that trip again, said he.
Oh, that sucks. I mean, and again, like, this seems to me like you just found a shitty friend. Like, I don't see like mass manipulation here. I just see kind of like a shitty, badly organized person.
Said he would reschedule it. It never got rescheduled. And then, I was pretty disappointed. All these plane tickets aren't working. Then he said we could go to the Galapagos Islands together, and that went nowhere. And it was, all right, it was weird because you don't do that to would-be friends.
He gave Andrew a draft to review in August.
You don't do that to would-be friends, so just don't be friends with him. I'm not seeing like the mass villainous manipulator.
The favorite month of these people. And Andrew said he'd get around to it eventually, but didn't until January, a few months later.
So I wrote this chapter about him in The Wedge. We were talking about virtual sharks and some neurology, and I gave him a draft to review. And this is not something that journalists always do. I just figured it was pretty tame stuff, and he looked pretty awesome in it. So maybe that would be cool, and no one was paying attention to him at that time anyway, so maybe it would give him like a little boost. It was cool. It was going to be very collegial. But again, he ghosted me.
And this would be after multiple follow-ups from Scott, allegedly, even one in which he said without a response, he would assume that the information he'd requested Andrew review was accurate.
I sent.
Well, okay, so he's showing you that he doesn't care. Why are you being like this weird puppy dog friend? Like, just, he's being an ass. Don't be his friend anymore. Just, like, scrap your chapter on him and move on.
In August, and he said he would look at it really, really soon, and every week he wouldn't look at it. And this went from August until January. Meanwhile, my deadline was about to get blown past. My editor was, like, on my case, and I told him, like, look, this is just not cool. I've given you enough time to review. I'm just going to run with it anyway, and I'm just going to assume that your silence on this is just that I got everything right.
The article and the video attempt to paint a very bleak picture of Andrew's character. How has Huberman responded to all this? Andrew was silent on this during the time it was being written. A
probably the best thing to be. Like, if just don't talk about it.
Spokesperson for Huberman, though, was very, very talkative. And in the magazine, the article, the New York, whatever the fuck it is, they used Huberman's spokesperson like 15 times. Actually,
of course they
10
did.
times or 11 times. The spokesperson said that Sarah and Andrew never decided to have children, that they wanted to create embryos via IVF. Whatever that means, I have no idea. Can you sell those? How's that work? Then,
yeah, like, what do you mean you don't want to have kids? You want to create embryos? What are you talking?
The Huberman spokesperson says that Sarah, when she tested positive for HPV, Andrew never tested positive for HPV. By the way, there is just no male-approved test for HPV for men. You can still get vaccinated if you're a man, but there's no test. However, after the release of the article, he did have a response, and that response was the following tweet, and it actually wasn't a response. It was just a scheduled tweet for a podcast segment. A lot of the stuff has been happening like this. Why learning how a magic trick is done is like the loss of romantic love. This is quite literally the exact thing that people are harassing him and calling him a massive hypocrite over, by the way. It's the exact opposite of the preaching. It's the preaching it's ironic there. It's very ironic. Comments are hilarious. So yeah, man, there are a lot of allegations about this. There are so many, and that's really what they are.
They're just so flimsy, though. These allegations are so flimsy. I don't, like, I'm not convinced, like, in any way that he's, like, I'm convinced that maybe he's kind of a dick, but I'm not convinced that he's, like, a wholesale manipulator or abuser. I don't hear anything in his voice or saying those abusive things. I don't hear, like, any videos. There's no audio. There's, like, it's just all allegations written by a third person in a newspaper article. I'm very skeptical about that. Okay, I'm gonna go refill my water, and then we're gonna do our next video. I am going to attempt. I do not think I'm gonna get a full 3 hours in here because my head is killing me, and I have no Advil. So, but I'm gonna go get some more water, go to the bathroom, and we'll switch to the video. Okay, so I will be right back. Okay. We're back. We're going to switch ourselves back to the... Oops. We're going to switch ourselves back to the live scene. And I'm going to go back to our list of videos. Oh, this is our last video of today. Oh, excuse me. Which is okay, because I think I'm going to have to cut it short anyways. But this is an Abba and Preach video. Cop cheats on her husband with 6 cops. Gets caught and gets $500,000 settlement. This is gonna be crazy.
Hall, the only female officer fired. Megan Hall, the only female officer fired in connection to Laverne Police Department scandal, reaches a settlement with the city. She will receive $500,000 because she dismissed a lawsuit against the city. Hall and 4 other officers were fired in January of last year after an investigation showed she and other male officers had on the job and lied about it. But
ew, really? On the job? 6? Her and... Oh my god. Oh my god. She... On the job, she's screwing these cops. They fired her and they... And she was gonna sue them? And then she dismissed the lawsuit and they gave her $500,000?
The lawsuit claimed that she was a victim of sexual harassment and that she was groomed. Since the investigation made national headlines, her attorney said she was publicly ridiculed, which made it difficult for her to find a job. The city did not admit any liability, and Hall settlement money will not come from taxpayer dollars. We are told the city's insurance provider will pay that $500,000.
Yeah.
I'm in... Oh my god. She was groomed? She was groomed. Are you serious? She's trying to play that? I was groomed and sexually harassed. They made me do it. You shouldn't fire me. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that's not much better because who pays the insurance for these deductibles?
Taxpayers.
And when that's going to skyrocket because of this lawsuit settlement, who's going to pay for that? So the taxpayers are always paying for that settlement.
Yep.
Whether they're paying for the insurance for it, whether they're paying for the increase in they're paying for it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's taxpayers, and no matter what the city does, the taxpayer is going to pay for it. They may not be paying for it directly, but they're paying for it.
Don't say that we're not paying for it. That's cap. Taxpayers are paying for it. You guys remember this story? This woman who was married to a police officer at the time was caught.
Oh, she was also married to a cop.
Like 6 other police officers, including the chief and some of the sergeants at that police department.
Jesus!
Exchanging nudes,
going
to do Keith, you know, threesomes, foursomes, stuff with dogs, all kinds of things. It was wild.
Jesus Christ! What the fuck? Stuff with dogs? Okay, that we don't know. That we can't confirm. But threesomes and foursomes, okay, holy shit.
Who knows? We don't know. They must have been some dogs to want to get up in her. Because she's built funny. Anyways.
She's built funny?
No, I'm sorry. I think that has to be said. Like, these guys threw away their career for a jump off and an ugly one at that. You could.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh my god, I can't verify, but the holy shit. These men just threw away their careers for a jump off and an ugly one at that. Holy shit. Oh my god, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Oh my god. And I mean, it's true though. Why would you throw away your careers for some bitch? Like, and not only your careers, like how many of these other officers had families too? Like, holy fuck. What was she so good at? Like, did she suck your balls out through your dick? Like, what? How? Like, what the fuck?
You could say it.
Wow. You slept good today. You chose violence. You woke up with that. Like you woke up and you said, you know what's today? Violence. But you know what? She was built different.
I think the worst thing is her cuckold of a husband is standing by her even though she cheated on him. Oh fuck. She belongs to the streets. If I was her husband, I would be like, bitch, you got a settlement. You're good. You're good. You get the fuck out of my house. Fuck you for alimony. I'm not paying you shit. You just got $500,000. Get the fuck out of my house, bitch.
Don't look at me like that. I'm not denying what you're saying.
I know you're not.
I can't deny it.
No, you're not. Nobody's
I can't deny
it.
it.
Okay.
She's a fucking rider.
Bro built like a fucking lab rat, okay?
God.
You saw her face. It is what it is. And I'm sorry, but I'm very comfortable saying that considering how sneaky and rat-like she was being in her behavior.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah? Your husband's a cop in the same department, and you're fucking other guys on the job, including the chief. I'd be divorcing for half of that settlement. I remember this chick. Oh, do you? Yeah, well, yeah, I guess half of that settlement would go to the husband.
But maybe she was groomed. No, she wasn't.
Maybe she got that chief.
She wasn't. She was trying to recruit her husband to do foursomes. She was out here sending nudes of herself. She was giving dudes fellatio on the job, and she was very much into it. She said she did it because she was having a difficult point in her marriage.
Oh, wow. I was having a difficult point in my marriage, so instead of going, and fixing my marriage, I decided to be the department's whore. Oh my god. Wow.
Sorry, don't pull that shit with me, okay? Now, does that mean, and I said this before, that the police department has no liability? Absolutely not. They absolutely have a liability. And in fact, they have more liability in this situation. I'll say why. Because these guys were in managerial positions. They were positions of power and leadership. So there's no point you should be out here your subordinates as a public servant. I'm not paying your salary so you could bang another cop on the job. In that case, I don't care if it's her or him. Both of them should be fired.
Yes. You absolutely. You can't be out there and I can't even reiterate it without repeating it. This is everybody involved should be fired. New chief, new sergeants, just get everybody, just replace everybody involved.
And I think all of you agree. Would you guys feel good if instead of doing their job, you found out 2 paramedics were banging in the back of the thing? Of course not. Would you be happy if the police or the department head of your local hospital was out here banging nurses on the job? No. They shouldn't be doing that. It looks terrible, and it invites a lot of potential lawsuits, and if you're going to be that irresponsible, you should be fired. Now, the lawsuit, people would say, she shouldn't be rewarded for a bad choice. And I understand that. But at the same time, I'm okay with police departments losing money so that they learn from this and never do it again.
But the police department didn't lose the money. The city did. The police department's not losing any money. Reminds me of that one ex Holly from when I went to boot camp. Ugh. I don't understand these people. But to contradict what they're saying here, the police department's not the one that's paying her. It's the city. So the city is out $500,000. And unless they're going to directly take that out of the police department's budget, then the police department's not losing money.
But they're not losing money.
What do you mean?
Is it people that are losing money?
Yes. The problem comes when it's time for re-election and it's under your student that they're probably not going to re-elect you. Sure. Right? Because there was actually some council members who were against the lawsuit being paid out. They said, what kind of message does it send? That you could just sue our department that we're getting. So a lot of people are unhappy about this because you have to understand, in a lot of these smaller places like Laverne, they don't operate on an unlimited budget.
Yeah.
The budgets are limited. So when lawsuits like these come, it does affect their bottom line.
It affects the rest. It
Yes.
affects, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So these are not good things for them. All this to say, I'm okay with the lawsuit. She's not even going to get paid that much after the lawyer takes his portion and then the taxes come in. She's probably going home with what? 175?
Which is
200, which is still
which is what, like a year and a half salary? No, she's a rookie. So it's like
she got like 3-4 years from that.
Yeah.
That's still a substantial salary.
That's a lot of money still. I would, if I were the husband, I would just be like, take your money the fuck out of my house. It comes out of the police department's budget. That's good.
Or pay, but the idea of you being paid that out when you leave your job is crazy. Like, a lot of people will die to have that opportunity, that kind of money. So yeah, I mean, this lady's gonna suffer from this. It's gonna be very hard for her to get any job or to go anywhere because her face is plastered.
She has to move.
She
has to move. Yeah.
I don't think she's a victim. Absolutely not.
No.
I don't think she's
no way is she a victim.
No, I think she is.
I think her husband's a victim,
but I don't see her as a victim. Yes, there was probably.
I'm suffering.
It's more like, oh, I'm suffering, but whatever. Semantics. Hey.
I used my hand, but technically, imagine this was a penis. Now imagine there was 6 dudes.
Oh God. Oh God!
She's suffering, but is she a victim?
I mean, I believe that it's possible that the police department was grooming, and that she was also agreeing with that.
I don't know. I don't go for the grooming. I think she knew what she was doing and she did it.
I think it's possible.
Of course, she definitely agrees.
There is grooming. There's possibility of grooming, and someone being like, you know what, yes, and being okay with it.
Yeah.
So
I agree to protect and slurp.
Grooming, yeah.
Protect and slurp. No, okay.
Slob and protect.
Oh God.
I don't see her as a victim. I'm not like,
Okay. And according to an internal investigation, Hall hooked up with several colleagues, sent them nude pictures, and went topless in a Girls Gone Wild themed hot tub party.
Oh God! Yeah, she's totally a victim. Yeah, yep. She is a super victim, you guys. She is just out there with all the victim points. Sorry about that. I just had a moment of pain in my head.
She also allegedly had a threesome with one of the cops and his wife.
Oh!
The shocking investigation report included findings that the police chief Burrell Chip Davis, who was fired over the scandal, not only knew about Hall's hookups, but joked about the situation with others in the city. Who dat? Davis allegedly said when shown a vulgar photo of Hall by another cop. Ty McGowan, the investigation found. And McGowan replied, Hall, Lewis. And the chief said, shit, he on it again?
What? Really? Did he actually say that, or are you just making that up?
He on it again?
He did not.
That training dick on this shit, but instead of drugs, it's booty. I do understand that it was only her face that was really plastered. That means that, yes, we probably showed the other cops, but the one that was really advertised was her. So I can understand that. They did, and they are culprits as well. So we should plaster their faces as well.
Yeah, but absolutely.
Like her face was really like the poster of that, and they really shamed her. And I understand how she feels. She can feel some type of way about that, where they're really the dudes that did wrong as well, and they fucked up being, and we didn't expose them as much as we did her. So I
guess, yeah, that's true. That we should be shaming those cops just as much as we should be shaming her. I don't think she should be like the brunt of the entire thing, of the entire scandal. I think the other cops involved also need to be.
Where she's saying, yo, I got ridiculed, I can understand. And the media only showed her. They didn't really show them like that. I've seen a couple of pictures, but not as much just to. I could recognize her. I could pick her up. I could pick her out in the line. All right, I could be like, yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
That's that over there. Yeah, that thought, that's her. I could see her. But them thoughts too, and we haven't seen them. We haven't. They can. Yeah.
There's one video of this whole incident. Have you seen it?
What the fuck? Holy shit. It's a party. It's a party. It is a party.
You know, instead of a bull, imagine a black man.
I mean, they already had.
When the story dropped, their faces were plastered all over the front page alongside hers. Okay, well then, fuck them.
The faces of the male cops are out there, but
The faces of the male cops are out there. Yeah, then never mind.
That's foul. Yeah, that's just foul.
So yeah, that's it, man. That's it. That's the update. You guys want to hear it? That's my thoughts.
Your thoughts?
I'm glad that they fired her. I'm glad they fired the guys too, because if
Yep.
they were working under me, I would have fired every single one. The idea that coworkers are out here spreading nudes of each other, the liability that puts on the employer, y'all are stupid. And then you guys doing that shit at work, if you get fired, I'm not gonna feel it. I know a bunch of guys are like, oh, the women. I don't care.
No.
Fire everybody.
Fire
I feel
all of
disgusted
them.
by all of them.
They were
Her
right
claim
to
be a
fire
victim
all
is
of
an
them.
extra layer of like, yo, get the out of here, but fire every single one of them. Easy. Stop being stupid at the job. Put your dick away and do your work.
Put the gun down. I mean, shit. Is that? Oh fuck! Put it down. You nasty. You nasty. No Diddy.
No Diddy. No Diddy. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Ow, I just hurt my head laughing. Oh, Jesus. That's too funny. That is too fucking funny. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. I made it through all the videos that I had pulled up. I made it. And now I think I need to go buy some coffee and some Tylenol because my eyes, when I went like this, my eyes almost fell out of my head. I think I need to go fix my migraine. So I'm sorry this is such a short stream today, but I'm gonna go fix my headache. And then I will be back tonight for the combat hour, and I will actually show up for the combat hour. Last night, because this is leftover from the storm and the lack of coffee, this headache. So I think between getting coffee and some Advil, I should be okay for the stream tonight. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry it's such a short stream, but I will make it up to you tonight and tomorrow. So thank you for watching. I will see you guys later on. Have a wonderful rest of your day.